Welcome back to another Service Management Leadership Podcast. I have two great guests. We have, I think, an awesome topic that doesn't get discussed enough. I have Roman Jouravlev, who I welcome back to the podcast, and Antonina Klentsova, who we welcome to the podcast. We are talking sustainability. Roman and Antonina, welcome.
Hi, very pleasant to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, pleasure to be here again. Hi, Jeffrey.
So these two are leaders in the space for sustainability and have written the ITIL books for this. And so I wanted to get their perspective. I'm excited for this conversation, as you all can tell. So what is sustainability? We'll start with you, Antonina.
Well, sustainability, if you take it in a general world, it's ability to last long, to serve the current needs and expectations, and still ensure that you'll be able to serve the same goods in the future, right? So that's to last long, I would say, in the short term.
How about you, Roman? Anything to add?
Yeah, I really like and also always prefer starting with this very simple explanation, because now the word is loaded with certain connotations. And I would like to start, since Antonina already defined the core thing, to start with some qualification here. Sustainability is always often perceived as focused only on environmental issues. It definitely is not. In order to be sustainable environmentally, we need to be sustainable economically and socially, and together these three aspects, they form so-called three pillars of the so-called triple bottom line. And the term of bottom line, which originates from accounting, highlights that it's not about money only, it's not only about the economic part, but it's also not only about environmental. If I may, I will give a very quick example of how important it is to see sustainability in a more systemic, more holistic way. Europe has been depending on fossil fuel for quite a long time. And in the environmental context, everyone understood that it's not a sustainable solution. We won't last long this way in terms of the planet and the negative impact on the nature. And we need to move from fossil fuel by, let's say, 2030. Some thought 2040, maybe something like that. And suddenly those who haven't realized that before, realize that, gosh, we are getting that fossil fuel from a mad dictator who just started a war in Europe. And this war and this dependency together are not sustainable in terms of social and economic impact, and the sense of urgency is completely different. Yes. We need to find a way to drop off that needle tomorrow, preferably yesterday, this year. Nobody is thinking 2030 in this context. And if we think of this dependency holistically, in environmental, social, and economic way, then we will be focusing on finding solutions that will last long and will support us in achieving our goals in a long-term perspective from all these perspectives. This is very important. And although our book is not focused on countries, it is considering organizational level and provides guidance for organizations. We need to align our organizational efforts to our global level, national level, industry level, and also, for example, local society level, because all these things are interconnected. It has been a very long answer to a very short question.
I understand. So Antonina, let me come back to you. Roman gave what it is and a little bit what it isn't. What is sustainability not? What gets pulled into that conversation that maybe shouldn't be in your mind?
Well, sustainability is not just beautiful and frightening words that are written on your website or in your beautifully formulated strategy. Sustainability is all about actions. Sustainability is not something obvious, and well known that you can find anywhere in whatever standards or books where you'll just find the instructions and you'll follow that. No, it's not such a new topic. If you look to the TED Talks or you just Google, for last 10 years, quite a lot of people around the world were talking how important it's both. And as Roman mentioned, the triple bottom line, right? Economical, environmental, social. There is another triple there. This is something which does not work if it's done only by government or only by business or only by finance.
Right.
Three institutions should come together. So it's not words, it is actions, and it's not obvious things to do. It's innovative part of our lives, and that's where sometimes we will need to pay to be sustainable in a short term, knowing that in the long term it will pay back,
So
both financially, economically, and socially.
let me push this back to both of you all. I think of it like security. You are never 100% secure. You're just moving towards security. I don't know if you can ever 100% be sustainable.
Absolutely, yes. This is what we keep saying and what we actually put in the book. There is no such thing, well, there may be such thing as a sustainability project or sustainability program, but none of them are enough. This is why we structure the book around the continual improvement model, because sustainability is a continual improvement journey, which will never end. There will be no point in the future where we'll say, okay, sustainability has been achieved, what's next on our list? It will never happen. There will be always a way to improve sustainability, to be more sustainable towards future generations, and to respond to next challenges that, unfortunately, we can be sure of it, will arise. May I add one more thing, which is also very important for understanding of what sustainability is or not. It is not a local improvement initiative. You cannot achieve sustainability in isolation. You cannot achieve sustainability in an individually taken organization or country. It is all interconnected. Some organizations think, okay, I will take my on-premise IT infrastructure and move it to cloud. And if we measure my carbon footprint, it definitely decreased, so I am good now. They need to remember that actually AWS or whoever is their cloud service provider is now smoking the sky on their behalf.
Yes.
It's safe to assume that they produce less harm to the environment by doing so for that given workload. But then we will start benefiting from cloud and increasing our workload. And at some point, we may find ourselves actually producing more of carbon footprint than before. So it's very important to consider up and downstream organizations in our ecosystem and to collaborate sometimes with them in order to achieve shared sustainability goal. This is why the government and industry levels are so important, as Antonina just put.
So let me summarize. You cannot abdicate your sustainability responsibilities. You cannot pass it on because you still own those, just like you do security, right? Like you can outsource your infrastructure, but your name, if it's your organization, still going to be in the headlines. No matter who the vendor is, you're still going to be there. So let's talk about what sustainability looks like in our corporate and our IT environments. You mentioned it, Roman, you introduced it with our cloud, but I think it goes much deeper. Antonina, does it go much deeper than just where we house our infrastructure?
Oh yeah, of course. If you think about that, it covers three major business aspects: product or service, something that we provide or produce, and that can be and should be sustainable. Then it's the whole business model. So starting from the resources that we use, the processes that we use, the tools that we use for providing the product, our customers, our partners. So the whole business model, each part of that can and should be sustainable, and organizational ecosystem as the third aspect. It also, and it's not only customers and partners, it's also the employees' families. Some, maybe if we consider charity, also the cooperation, not only for our supply chain, but any connections and relationship that our organization has. So yeah, three major aspects there.
And you mentioned supply chain, and that's like the buzzword, that
Oh, I
everybody's
see you
on right
became
now.
so enthusiastic now. Okay.
But no, I'm just saying that the people who are focused on the environmental side of sustainability, you're saying it's not only that, that's great, it's only that, but also consider the sustainability of your supply chain, which is now in the news because why is everything so much more expensive? Because you did not have a sustainable method of getting your products and services to market over time. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I would say there are two perspectives when we think of the supply chain, and even if we focus on the upstream part of our supply chain, so our suppliers and partners, first, how mature, how good our partners are at achieving sustainability goals. How responsibly they source what they provide to us, or what they use to produce what they provide to us, how they treat people they deal with, how they treat societies they operate in, how they treat the environment. So how good are they, and whether they meet our requirements or standards when it comes to sustainability in all three aspects. This is one thing. Another thing is how let's say, reliable, how resilient is our supply chain by design? Are we buying from, let's say, well-established and reliable suppliers? Are we buying from gray market? Are we buying? So what are we doing? I will give you two examples from again, not organization level, but this is something that we keep having on our agenda. You know that the above mentioned country that has started the war in Europe, Russia, is under various sanctions right now. So the Russian government recently allowed to local businesses what they call parallel import, which means importing goods and services and intellectual property without permission from their copyright owners. They can import iPhones without Apple permission. From Russian laws, it's not a crime anymore. Is it a solution for them? Maybe. Is it a sustainable solution? Will it last long? Will it be acceptable by those who are supposed to buy from those retailers? Probably not. Similarly, they kept all the aircrafts that were banned from entering the international airspace, and they are going to cannibalize aircrafts in order to supply spare parts for other aircrafts. Is it a sustainable solution? Well, it will last for about a year until they run over of the aircrafts, or run out of aircrafts. That's things to consider when we build and design our ecosystem. And importantly enough, not only when we decide who to source our products and services from, but also who to sell to, who are our clients. Are we still sustainable in terms of dealing with right people as our clients?
Those
and
are
what really important
Go
to
ahead.
remember, sorry for interrupting, it's again not only asking, do we know our partners, do we know our customers? Please remember to ask yourself, do we know ourselves? Are we a reliable partner for someone else? And if there is one word to learn about sustainability and supply chain, so it's externalities. That's something to keep in mind.
So I want to push in on you, Antonina, on this topic, if I may, and we'll start wrapping up this episode. So those of you listening, this is part one. We'll have a two-part conversation. But the people aspect, I think us talking about the sustainability of our employees, of our customers, how we treat our local and global economy, just our personal people responsibility, I think has really grown the last year or two in terms of if somebody's a bad person, their company's going to be in the news. Or if they treat their employees poorly, they're going to be in the news. There's a shifting of tides in terms of the sustainability. Is that fair?
It's absolutely fair. Moreover, if you think about that, who contributes to sustainability, who makes it happen? Individuals. Because if saying people, if saying business, what's business? Business is the company of people, right? So it's done by people for people. I love repeating this phrase. Because, so if we think about those three, government, business, finance, so it's actually people first. So business developing sustainability capabilities, first target is actually to help employees and people who work there to understand what is that, what they can do, and of course, taking responsibility of what's happening in the field in general. So yeah, it's vital important, and building sustainability capabilities is one of the challenges that I would say all organizations, no matter how mature they are on the topic, face nowadays.
And people is a big topic. I mean, even us long-term service management people would say you can have the best technology, you can have the best processes, but people are your critical success factor. If you have great people, you have a great chance. If you don't have as great of a chance. And so I would just encourage people to think about, how do we cultivate our personnel side of things? And do you have any guidance on that in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, of course. It's, as you're saying, it's really important to ask ourselves all the time, no matter which job positions we have, what can I do here today? And there is an amazing tool, which is still surprised quite many people even haven't heard. SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals, and they are described in detail, and they really help us to understand what are the key problems that we as human beings together trying to solve. And that's where you can start. You choose one and you say, okay, what can I do today to contribute to improving this area? And I would say, if anyone considering any first or second or 100 steps on sustainability, that's the tool to keep in a pocket.
That is a great way for us to close this episode. Thank you, Antonina and Roman. And those of you listening, we'll be back next week to dive more deeply. And I want to go a little deeper in the next conversation. So I appreciate you spending your time with us, Antonina and Roman.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
See you next week.
Bye.